To graph y equals the secant of pi x, I want us to think about what the graph of y equals the cosine of pi x would look like. B in this graph is pi, so 2 pi over pi would be equal to the period. So the period, if this had been a cosine graph, would be 2. So that means by the time we get to 2, we would have one complete cosine graph. Cosine starts at 1, goes to 0, goes to -1, goes back to 0, and then goes back up to 1. So there would be our cosine graph. We always like to graph maybe out to 2 pi. So 6 would be almost 2 pi. And so if we continue this same pattern, we'll get our cosine graph with a period of 2, and we've made 3 cycles. So what does the secant graph look like compared to that? Well, everywhere that the cosine graph is 0, the secant graph is going to have an asymptote. So we're going to have an asymptote at each place that the cosine graph had a 0. And so to get our final graph, where our cosine graph has a max, our secant graph is going to have a min, and the graphs are going to go in the opposite directions. So our secant graph is the blue graph, y equals secant pi x.